Hey everyone, it's Mrs. D, and I am here with the second video in the playlist of breaking down and tips for Outschool classes. This one is focusing on ongoing classes. So let's talk about what ongoing classes are. Ongoing classes are like independent themed classes that do not build on each other and are just basically they can be anywhere from 4 weeks to indefinite. Um, and they have a common core. And so we're going to talk about all of that kind of stuff and clear that up. They seem a lot more complicated than they really are. And they seem like they're going to be a lot of work. And I have found that they really aren't a lot of work. And I'm like, why haven't I been doing these all along? So, why do we want to do them? Well, because number one, they are the most popular course types on Outschool. Number two, they are easier than they seem. So once you get going on them, you're going to realize these are so easy. And number two, you can funnel your students from one class to the other. We're going to talk about all this kind of stuff, okay? But generally, like you can have a student in a one-time class and tell them, hey, if you like this, I have an ongoing class. And then you can take that ongoing class and turn it into a multi-day class. All right, so let's get into the tips. Number one tip is what kind of course can I make that doesn't build on each other, right? Because as teachers, isn't that generally what we do? We take them from point A in their learning to point B, hopefully, in their learning. How do we create classes that don't do that? So, like I said, it has a common core, but you don't need a skill that you learned before it or after it. So some ideas are like a book in a series. So every week they talk about a certain book in a series. So for example, take Diary of a Wimpy Kid. There are so many of those. So week one, we're going to talk about this one. Week two, we're going to do an activity on this one. Week three, we're going to do something on this one. And all of those can be very independent. They don't have anything to do with each other. Number two is how-to activities. So baking desserts, making snacks, cooking dinner. So they just can't have been building on each other. So if you were doing desserts, one week you would do cakes, one week you would do cupcakes, next week you could do cookies, the next week you could do a pie, but they don't have anything to do with each other. The common theme is baking desserts. Okay? Repetitive learning. This is where you take something and they repeat it and they learn it and they just do that same thing over and over and over, and they can unenroll and they can enroll and then unenroll whenever they want, depending on if they felt like they've mastered the learning. Discussion groups. So just a general, like, let's get together and talk about things. Let's have a social club where shy kids can learn to talk more. I have a Spanish one where we just practice speaking in Spanish, which is great for me because I'll forget it if I don't practice it, right? So my personal examples to share with you are topic sentences, where we just practice topic sentences over and over in every class. And we'll talk about how to set that kind of thing up soon too. Another one I have is the Diary of a Wimpy Kid style journaling. So every time they have a class, they come in and they just write in their journal. We talk about it. We discuss how to make, how to pick out their topics and their main ideas and their supporting ideas, and then they write a paragraph about that in their journal. And that's what we do every single class. So those are repetitive type learnings. Then what else do I have? Mad Libs. So it's parts of speech, but they're doing a different type of Mad Lib in every class. So these are things that are very independent. They can come and go as they want, and they won't miss anything if they leave. That's the idea of the ongoing class. So get your creative juices going as to how you can do that. I also have my escape rooms. I created 5 escape rooms, and then I created an ongoing class where each week they'll do a different escape room, and they don't need to know anything about the other escape room to do that is the next one. So how do we list those? Okay, so when I list my escape rooms, I generally, especially for the ones that are repetitive learning, I list a little bit, first you have to do your overall description, right? In this course, students are going to practice writing topic sentences where they will learn how to take the main idea and break it down into different supporting ideas and create one cohesive introductory sentence to a paragraph. Okay, something like that, like how they're going to do that. And then generally what I do after I list like that generic description is that I do a breakdown of each class. Each class will consist of 5 minutes of a review, right? So if I'm doing parts of speech, we're going to go over adjectives, nouns, pronouns, adverbs, and verbs, okay? Every single class, we're just going to go over those really quick so that we all have that fresh in our minds. Also, that enables any new learners to kind of get caught up into like what the theme of what we're going to do is. Or if I don't do a review, we do a group activity. So for the journaling class, we write a group journal every single time, because then the new learners can see how we're going to do the individual ones just by doing the group one. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And then the next part of the class breakdown that I list is the content, like what are we going to do. So the next part of the journaling group after we do a group one is that we break down the event that they choose to talk about, and then everybody starts writing for 25 minutes, and then usually they have a sharing part as well to that. When it is something like the topic sentences, we do a group one, we do like a teacher-led one, we do a group-led one, and then the students do their own. So just break down your class as to what they're going to do, and including a little review is always a good idea. So if you're doing a cooking class, you can review the equipment and the measurements. If you're doing a science class, you might go over safety measures when you're performing science experiments. If you're doing history, you might talk about, what's important when we study history, whatever. Just give you some ideas, and then break down the rest of the learning section of your class. And it should really have like learning, practice, sharing. All right. And then also include a blurb for enrolling and unenrolling as they wish, because Outschool really likes to have that, and it will prohibit you from getting a little revision request to include it. So just put it in there that as an ongoing course, students can enroll and withdraw as they wish. And then they're going to require that you list at least the first 4 weeks of a theme if there's going to be a theme. And if there isn't going to be a theme, you have to be specific. For example, in my topic sentence class, I use a wheel of topics for them to get their topic that they're going to create topic sentences. Therefore, I have to specifically say there are no themes in this class because it's determined by the random spinning of the wheel of topics. Or, for example, in my Mad Libs class, I went ahead and I purchased some Mad Lib books that are themed. So I put week, the date and what theme, whether it's Minecraft, the week and the theme unicorns and mermaids. The next one is the week and the theme is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And you have to have at least 4. You don't have to keep going with it, but you have to have at least 4, and then you have to say something to the effect of like, once the 4 weeks are over, we will recycle the topics, or we will continue on with different topics. Okay, but you don't necessarily have to list what they are. You'll get an email when you get approved saying that you should update your listing periodically to make sure that it's it's informing the students who are wanting to enroll. Okay, if you do a book club, week 1 is going to be book 1, week 2 is going to be book 2, week 3 is going to be book 3, and 4, for 4 weeks. So that's how you list the class. And of course, you can go to my profile and check out any of these for a little bit of help with it. Number 3, how many times a week do students want to have class? Usually it's going to be 1 or 2 times a week. I do see that the younger, like preschool theme class, like circle time or art, generally want maybe 4, sometimes 5 days a week. But all of the other academic-y types are going to want 1 or 2 times a week. So you can keep that in mind. Number 4, how should we price them? Okay, so again, this goes back to some other videos that I've done before. We know that we are fantastic and we deserve top dollar. But keep in mind that ongoing classes is basically you're going to be having money from these people every week. So for a 25-minute class, I tend to like to keep it about $7 for them to pay. That brings home just under $5. And you think, $5 for half an hour of work, that's just not worth it. Keep these things in mind when we think that way. These are easier listings. So there's not a ton of prep work and there's not a ton of follow-up work, okay? And keep in mind too that if you're listing at $7, you could get 6 kids in a class and you're making decent money, right? You could get 8 kids in the class and you're making even better money. About $5 times 8 is going to be $40. It's good for 30 minutes. That's good for 30 minutes, okay? So keep that in mind. Lower prices are going to give you more students. If you're charging, $12, $13, $14 for a 25-minute class, you're not going to get any enrollments. So it's going to be a waste of your time. And then even if you get 2 enrollments, it's still not going to give you as much as if you listed at $7. All right. So I do 25 minutes for $7 and then I do 45 minutes to $10 to $13 depending on what kind of audience I'm trying to get and the content. Like if there's a lot of stuff or if it's a niche, I'm going to go a little bit higher. So my Google Slides Club, there's not a lot of those. So that's a little bit higher. That's not even. It's 55 minutes for $13. So 45 minutes for $10. That's going to bring you between $7 and $9 per learner. And again, you'll get more learners with the lower prices, so you'll do better. Keep those things in mind. The 45 minutes are harder to sell. I've noticed that 25-minute, like really good, quick practice, repetitive practice things, those sell fairly well. The journaling class is 45 minutes, and that one sells really well. So again, it really it depends on what people are interested in and how you create that class too. So tip number 5, build on themes. So we don't build, in ongoing classes, we don't build on those classes. We don't go from A to Z in the class time, right? In the length of the study. But you can have, and this is a really good idea to do, this is like pro tip, okay? Themes where they can go from parts of speech to the topic sentences, to how to write a paragraph, to how to write a multi-paragraph essay or short stories. Why? Once they master parts of speech, you want to have something else to offer them. Oh, you guys, you're doing such a great job in this. I think you're ready to go on to topic sentences. They come in and they enroll in topic sentences and they learn topic sentences and they're doing fantastic and they love you. You're a great teacher. You've gotten a great review from them. But now they've mastered it. So do we continue to go teaching topic sentences? No. Hey, you guys have done so good with topic sentences. Time to go on to the paragraphs. Okay. And they don't all progress at the same time. But what you're doing is creating a long-term relationship with that family and that learner. So, think about how you can build on those themes, not building on the class, but building on your themes where you can funnel them from one to the next to the next. And they will build on the foundation that they're creating with you. Okay, so that is 5 tips for ongoing classes. Be sure to check out the next one, and I will see you there.